An incredibly gifted scientist is close to a major breakthrough when he embarks on a solution that can create life. However, with a solution that's far from complete, he's still going to need it to bring back his dead family. Will he be able to create immortality, or will his solution turn into a weapon? Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review another sci-fi movie titled Replicas. Let's check it out.
I mean, this is the single greatest thing that I have ever done in my life. Anyone has ever done.
It's another day at the Bione lab where William works. He heads a team that is finding a solution that could cheat death. While at the lab, William is carrying out a test on a deceased soldier. He developed a theory by which he could extract the consciousness of a dead person and upload it into a robot. He is making notable progress, but his experiments keep crashing because they lack something. William is left confused as yet another experiment violently rips itself apart. Jones, who is the head of the research, discusses with William how time is running out and they need to complete the project soon. William begs for more time and reminds Jones of how much of a sacrifice he had to make. Back at William's cozy and cheerful home, he is welcomed by his loving wife and kids. His wife, Mona, and the kids had to move down to Puerto Rico because of his work. Just in the middle of catching up with his family, his closest friend and colleague, Ed, comes in. The children love Ed, and he is a great family friend. When Mona pulls William aside and shares her concern about the dangers and absurdity of the Williams project, they both brush aside the topic. They go on to have some good time while William and his kids pack up for a trip.
A trip where the whole existence of William and his family changed. It starts to rain, and everywhere is dark with barely enough light to see. William and his family are still on the journey. They're enjoying the trip when the unthinkable happened.
While William first closely evades a truck driver who was losing his way, trying to steady the car, a log of wood pierces through Mona that kills her. The three kids are beyond frightened. They scream and shout. Williams is devastated. It is still a struggle to stay on course due to the intense rain. William loses his vision and drives off a cliff into deep water. He is the only survivor and brings out the bodies of his lifeless family. He is shattered and feeling so much pain. He just couldn't believe what just happened. Everything is just gone. He calls Ed for help and he arrives at the scene and is equally devastated. William is not in the right frame to answer many questions. He has a plan and decides to do the impossible. He tells Ed to help him get equipment from their lab, and William will try to carry out his incomplete solution on his family. Ed doubts William's ability to pull this off after witnessing several of their projects fail. William is hell-bent on succeeding this time, and Ed complies. He helps bring the needed equipment for the first process. He could only help with equipment that could only bring back 3 people. This is the first problem that William needs to solve. He has to decide which 3 he'll be bringing back to life. He begs Ed for a 4th piece of equipment, but there's nothing Ed could do. When William decides to ballot, he leaves out the youngest of them, Zoe. William is broken, but he had to make that decision. William, with the help of Ed, begins the process. He is still unsure if he could succeed in this experiment, seeing that he hasn't completely succeeded before. They start developing the clones. Ed tells William about the need for a stable, reliable power source. He goes on to steal a ton of batteries to create a backup energy source.
William is driven by desperation now. The pain of watching his whole family go is pretty immense.
He is desperately trying to solve the limitations he has been facing during the experiments. Ed walks in and asks William what his plan was for Zoe. He says he plans to erase her memory from Mona and the others. Meanwhile, back at William's office, Jones speaks to Ed about William. Jones has noticed his absence, but Ed is quick to cover up for him that he has pneumonia. Jones reveals the plan of the lab board to shut down their experiment, except they are able to succeed. Ed quickly informs William of everything and tells him to come to the office. He also reveals that his family experiment is in danger of closing since the equipment being used belongs to the lab. As William rushes to work in a bid to calm the storm, he hardly focuses. There is a lot going on through his mind. He meets with Jones, who asks about his health. William coughs.
I mean, isn't that the only way to play pneumonia?
The conversation does not last any longer. He is very uncomfortable, and this is noticed by his other colleagues. He heads home to continue his work, which is most important to him right now. He arrives home and is greeted by his children's school teacher. He is taken aback and doesn't know what to say.
But come on, William. You really thought no one would notice or ask questions?
Luckily for William, Ed already had some great answers for him. The teacher bids farewell, but William really has to prepare answers to these questions. William checks in on their mobile phones and emails that have been left unchecked. It's a total mess as there are so many messages from work, school, and friends of his kids. He attends to a few important ones.
William is handling the pressure quite well, but it's really tough on him. Will he continue to hold on or give in? Good news, Ed has successfully developed the clones. Bad news, William hasn't found a solution yet.
William continuously tries solutions, but he is nowhere close. The clones are ready, but William decides he's going to put the bodies into a coma while he is looking for the solution. Ed is pissed as he warned of this. William, who is still driven by desperation, will not afford to quit now. William lays Mona's body on the bed and is considering subjecting her to a coma till he finds the solution. However, he makes the greatest discovery. He places his hands on Mona and discovers a reception on the monitor. The monitor responds to his touch. William is amazed and figures out the clue. He calls out to Ed and grabs him with excitement. He can't believe what he has just discovered. Ed is a bit startled, but of course, curious about what the solution is. Apparently, William has been looking in the wrong direction. The whole solution is in his body. Ed is convinced, but he doubts this could really work. They decided to try it out. William imprints her memory on her body. The results that came in were shocking. While Mona begins to shake as if she's going to rip herself apart, Ed freaks out. Mona's body suddenly calms down, and for the first time, she speaks. The two have succeeded. William's solution worked. They think about how big what they just did is. He keeps Mona to sleep while he cleans the house and works on the rest of his family's clones. He also tries to wipe Zoe's memories from the house. William goes to bed and wakes up to a full house. He is looking all weird as this is a bit much to process at the moment. While they have breakfast together, Mona goes for a jug and feels something unusual. Back at the house, William received a call from Ed. It's work and they need to fix a lab project or else the project will shut down. William gets to work but is hesitant as he develops a concern and tells Ed he is not willing to put another person through that method.
He goes into the bathroom and decides to use his consciousness instead. This is shocking and scary. What is William up to?
Back at home, Mona and the kids begin to make some realizations. First, they search for their devices, and Mona still continues to feel off. She is aware that something is wrong, but she is unsure what it is. William meets Ed in the office and explains his plan to him. William arrives home and sees Mona restless. She tells William how she's been feeling, the whole weird and unusual memory loss. William calms Mona down and walks her to bed for a rest. Just then, William's daughter has a serious nightmare where she sees her mom die. He realizes he left that memory in their mind. He tries to rectify it in his mini-lab. Just then, the secret finally gets out. Mona walks in on him and demands to know what exactly is going on. William is trying his best to explain things to her. Mona is beyond shocked. It's scary and she's trying so hard to come to terms with it. She accepts it and understands why William did what he did.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of their troubles, but the beginning of them.
The family decides to go out to have a good time, accompanied by Ed. Mona is distracted by the memories of a little girl. She doesn't understand why this is happening. During dinner, his daughter asks about Zoe. William is surprised as he thought he cleaned up every memory of Zoe. Mona also questions an observation she made and asks why there are 2 bunk beds in the room. It's getting a bit more intense until the doorbell rings. Jones is at the door. He's come to see William, but he's also concerned about his family. Jones speaks to William and confesses that he has been fully aware of everything ever since. William is shocked and tries to cover up, but Jones is beyond aware of the truth. William is shocked when Jones reveals that all of their research wasn't for medical purposes only. Jones has been working for a secret organization that is looking to weaponize William's idea. He forced him to get the algorithm and get rid of his family. William tricks him and sedates him with an injection. He runs inside and briefly explains to Mona and reveals who Zoe was. But there wasn't enough time now. He decides to destroy the algorithm so they never get a hand on it. Mona gets the kid and a few important things and escape from the armed men Jones left outside. They are far beyond his reach, and William plans to leave the country. Jones eases off the sedative and orders his men to find the family with every measure possible. William and his family are quickly identified by a tracker since they are lab properties, but Mona has a way to eradicate the tracker. She tells William to drive to her hospital. The men get close to capturing them, but Mona is able to quickly disable the trackers. William calls Ed to help arrange a boat for his family's escape. Unfortunately for William, Ed double-crosses him and his family is captured and taken back to the lab. Mona finds out it was Ed who revealed their plans and location to Jones. She is shocked, but Ed thinks he was only helping. William shows up at the lab and tries to negotiate with Jones since he's the only one with the algorithm in his head. Jones threatens to shoot Mona but goes on to shoot Ed. William is terrified and agrees to give him the algorithm, but he decides to outsmart them. He tricks them by creating a clone of himself. The idea he spoke about finally comes to save them. William is able to clone himself into a robot. The robot attacks and disarms Jones and his men while he escapes. He gets the kids and Mona and escapes from the scene. Just when he's about to leave, he hesitates and returns inside to the battered Jones. He makes a deal with him. He offers Jones another chance at life and chance of making a lot of money with their invention. Jones agrees to William's terms. Williams and his family overcomes the threats and are safe. He speaks to his cloned self, who assures him to go and leave matters to him. He also works on bringing Zoe and Ed back. He is beyond fulfilled, he has his family back. As for his cloned self, the work just began and he partners with Jones to help people and make money.
Definitely a movie for lovers of science and technology. It does a good job of adding bits of family drama in too. However, the final bits are a little hurried up, and there's no credible or scientific explanations for many of the actions. There also could have been a little better ending for Ed. Maybe he could have gotten back as a clone or something, but it's still a good movie for sci-fi lovers. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when we upload, and don't forget to suggest movies you want for recap in the comments.